Looks like Garo is back on track. This episode was my favorite. It was just straight up my favorite episode of Garo, thus far. I love this episode. The action, the animation, the usage of CGI, the backstory of our villain Mendoza, his goal, his objective. I love this episode. There is so much content in this episode and a lot of progression in this episode that makes me so much more invested in this series. Finding out Mendoza's backstory and his motive, I like it. I really like his motive. At first, I thought it was just revenge, which it kind of could be considered just revenge, but when you start looking at Mendoza's overall objective, his motive of taking down witches, Maokai Knights, stuff like that, and killing people, it's a lot deeper than that. In the episode, in the flashback, we see Mendoza in this different dimension. I'm guessing the Garo dimension or something. It's just some form of dimension. And he's pretty much he's like on trial. And you have this old woman pretty much talking to him, saying, like, you've done a very bad act, a very evil deed, and so we are going to brand you, and your entire bloodline, your descendants, you, and everybody else that comes from you, your entire bloodline will be cursed. And this curse will pretty much be marked all over their body. And they can, like, never step into their world. Like, the markings, the scars on the body is just awful. It literally is all over the body. And the only reason why Mendoza can hide these is because he's technically like a magician or something. Like, he's a wizard. I don't know exactly what Mendoza is. Maybe a Maokai alchemist. I'm guessing that's what he is. But anyways, Mendoza, he finds out the hard way of what it truly means to be cursed in this episode. He goes and leaves the Maokai Knights and stuff, and he goes off and becomes like a wandering monk pretty much. And one day he finds this girl, he marries this girl, and he realizes when she gives birth, his child is completely marked with the same, like, exact markings that's marked on Mendoza. And when Mendoza starts to see his child like it is, the marks start appearing on his face and hands and stuff, and you just see his rage, the absolute limit, because his child is cursed and everything. Like, he didn't realize the full effects of this curse until he saw it. Like, until he saw it firsthand from his child, which led him to kill his child and probably kill his wife, and it caused it to where he realized his entire bloodline was fucking ruined. His descendants were ruined. As the Maokai Knights stated to Mendoza in, like, the flashback in that other dimension, they state, like, yes, every human has eternity. They all have an eternity because you're descendants. When you pass on descendants, it's like your entire life is being passed on to the next person. And so, the overall viewpoint of the Maokai Knights' eternity is really interesting. And pretty much they fuck that up for Mendoza and screw him over with that eternity because of his bloodline. And it's not just that either. It's also Mendoza, the reason why he was being accused for his acts is because he was trying to find a way to actually control horrors, pretty much from what I understood, and the way he was doing it is he was acting like he was above humans, pretty much, regular humans, which, in that entire aspect, he's a very standard and stereotypical type villain when he says stuff like that, but I like his overall aspect when he wanted eternity. For instance, like, he wanted eternity to live forever. He was offering that to the Maokai Knights. They completely said no, they don't want that. Their eternity is through their descendants, and this is really cool the way you have it where Mendoza wants to fuck up their descendants. For instance, wants to kill all the descendants to the Maokai Knights, Maokai alchemists, and stuff like that. Completely destroy their bloodline before he ruins their eternity. So that's pretty much his objective. He's like ruining the Maokai's, Knights, and alchemists' eternity. Like their bloodline. That's his objective, and I like that. I like that a lot. I like his motive. Even though he's kind of stereotypical, he's not that stereotypical. He's a really interesting villain. I like his backstory, and I love finding out about that, because now I understand why he is like he is. At first, I thought he just wanted power, become the king of the entire place, and that was it. He still technically wants power, but there's more behind it, so it makes him a lot better villain, I would say. Now, the thing is, though, with this episode, besides the entire aspects of Mendoza, you have the entire situation with Herman and the new introduction to his nephew, Alfonso. Now, Alfonso, oh my god, he's gonna learn the hard way about Herman, his uncle, really fast when he starts to see how his uncle is just such a pervert, going after every woman in sight. So, I found it very interesting. The dialogue used in this when Herman got upset when he found out, like, most likely his wife slept with another dude, and he thought that Alfonso was his son. Oh my god, dude. That was great shit, dude. That was great shit. And then he just calmed down when he realized that it was just, you know, his nephew. So yeah, it was really great. And it's not just that either. The episode is very impressive too with different scenes. Like the choices of CGI, like the way they use the CGI with the horrors coming off the roof and all that, it can be very jarring. Depending on if you're just watching the animation, like the regular art, all of a sudden it switches over to CGI, you're like, whoa! It's kind of shocking. It definitely is. I can't deny that. But, I mean, it looked really badass when you saw the freaking horrors popping down, surrounding them. The situation turned to shit, pretty much, and they were having to fight and get out of there and go through, like, the chapel or whatever that was up above, or the temple. So, the episode, really good. Sets up a lot of things. It definitely sets up a lot. It gives us the motives behind our villain, and it also shows that he's a really, really intelligent and strong character, because the way he was using illusions and teleportation, the way he was covering his face with, like, an illusion and stuff, where people can't see the markings on his body, and he says, like, don't touch me, he even told, like, his woman advisor, like, don't touch me. That, wow. I'm guessing if someone touches him, I'm guessing the illusion that's on his body disappear and the markings come out. I'm guessing that is what happened, but what makes me believe that, though, is because, I mean, the wife seemed very shocked when she saw her husband with these markings. Like, she seemed really shocked, and it's like she never saw those markings before, so I don't know if necessarily the reason why he doesn't want this new girl to touch him is because of his secret with his markings all over his body will be discovered, or he just doesn't want to grow close to any other woman because of the events of what happened to his previous wife along with his child. That might be it. Overall, though, great episode. Best episode of Garo, hands down. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I love y'all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.